This is NEGOTIATEx TV.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us on the NEGOTIATEx podcast. We are continuing our conversation with Julia Ewert, a renowned sales and negotiation expert. If you haven't already checked out part A of this show, be sure to do that first. Let's jump into the conversation with Julia.
Can I share another cool story about something else that I did? And I've shared some of my American friends, and I frightened the hell out of them. So prior to Christmas, I was in a shopping centre car park, and there was 1 billion cars in there. That was the actual number I counted. And we're all everyone trying to get out at the same time. And anyway, so the cars are going nowhere. There's a little bit of movement in front. The woman behind me is in a fancy schmanz car, and she's getting annoyed. And so there's a car in front of me, like no one's moving. There was a bit of movement. There's a car in front that's trying to reverse out. So I stopped rather than move forward and like literally move forward 5 meters. I stopped and let the car in front of me out to join the queue. Anyway, woman behind me blasts on a horn. So I did what any, good negotiator would do is I thought, I'm going to go for a chat. So no one's going anywhere, right? So no cars are moving. So He blasts the horn, and so I put my car in park, and so I got out of my car and I went to chat to her. Now, when I've told this story to some of my American friends, they envisage someone now pulling the gun on me.
That's the first thing my wife would have said. So
this never happens in Australia. No one has guns here. So this doesn't happen. So there's zero risk of that happening. So you guys should live here. So anyway, so I went out and I spoke to my new friend. And so I stood outside her. And now, so what I know is I go, if I blast her and get angry, this is going to not be helpful. But I go, opportunity, have a different conversation. No one's going to die. Like build my resilience to it. So I probably get out. I walk over to her car. She looks a bit like, holy crap now, because I'm going to go and talk to her. And so what I do is I smile really nicely. And this woman would be, I don't know, I'm terrible at guessing age, 70. So she puts the window down. And I said to her in my nicest, kindest voice, oh, I heard you honking your horn at me. Was there something you wanted to say?
Wow.
And so she's expecting me to blast her, right?
Right.
Really hard to get angry at someone who's not angry at you.
Yeah.
So she says, well, you know what? You just stopped and that car went out. I said, you know what? No one was going anywhere and it's Christmas. And she was very surprised because we're wired for defense. She's expecting me to come over and swear at her and get angry at her, whereas I thought, no. And again, I like, so these are just a few examples. I do this stuff when I see opportunities. It's not every day, but when I see opportunities, I go, this is a chance for me to upskill on low risk stuff, low stakes, right? And it's hard. I'm dying a bit on the inside, no question, but I know it's better for me. And I would, back to the tennis analogy, I'd rather learn against and play against Serena Williams than, I don't know, my 7-year-old. So, like, I want to try when it's tough.
absolutely. And speaking of trying when it's tough, when you're with clients, so Aaron and I love to focus on preparation. We think it's the most crucial part of any negotiation that you're about to get into. So kind of wanted to know, how do you address that with clients? What do you have them do? What do you focus on or anything like that?
In terms of preparation,
Yes,
Nolan?
ma'am. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, you would never prepare. You would just rock up and give it a crack and see how it goes. Preparing is a terrible idea. It takes so long to prepare, so you should never do that.
Yep.
Yeah. Funny enough, I have someone who said to me a few weeks ago, yeah, Julia, I tried some of your stuff, but it just takes so long. Well, so how's it working out for you? He goes, well, I can't get business and, I can't convert stuff and negotiations aren't going well. But, I'm going to try and hire a marketing person. That'll help me. I was like, good luck with that. So preparation is necessary, right? Same as Wimbledon. You wouldn't just step off the plane and go straight to the court. You would prepare for the game. You get your equipment ready, get your tools ready. So I practice this stuff too. I spend a lot of time with my clients practicing. And interestingly, I've got a client that I'm working with at the moment, and they've had a quiet word to me in the last week and said, Julia, the team have said that this stuff's really repetitive. I said, yes. And they said, one other team have asked, when's like the big thing coming? I said, what big thing would that be? And they said, like, they've just asked when the big thing is. Like, we just seem to be repeating the same, like, skills. I said, yes. So again, it just shows how misunderstood this craft is. Let's just plan it up. Let's just plan up and have a go and see how it goes. So this stuff, you know, to be great at anything. And I ask my clients or my prospects before they become my clients, I ask them, if we start to work together, score of 10, how good do you want to be? And then just before they're about to answer, I say, because I reckon I'm about a 7 or an 8. Because they were about to say 10, weren't they? They were all going to say 10. And then they go, oh God, if she's 7 or 8. So then I say, right, so if that's the number you want to be, whatever the number is, can I ask you what you're prepared to invest in terms of time and learning to be that number? Because as you would know, no one actually wants to do the work. They want the magical thing.
Yeah, it's interesting, Julia. So as I teach at a university here, and I often get about midway through the course when I do mid-course feedback. I get similar feedback in that, wow, this is really repetitive. And I've tried to let them know from the front that this is going to be, we're building a vocabulary, we're building skills, we're building muscle memory. I said, I want to be in your head. I want you to be able to do this in your sleep. I want this to become something that, 5 years from now, when you're in that difficult moment, you automatically, go back to these skills and not maybe to our natural defensive inclination to negotiate. And so it's interesting to hear you say that you have kind of that same sort of response from clients, that you get that pushback. Everybody wants that magic pill. Just tell me to do X, Y, and Z so I can get, this magical outcome.
I love Julia, what's the one thing that you need to do to win negotiations? The one thing. And I said, yes, you need to do all the things. Yep. That's the one
thing.
Yeah. But same thing, right? So I had a long-term client say to me a while ago, Julia, the team, that I did this one activity to help their muscle memory with asking open questions, and we do it a lot because necessary. And so they challenged me and said to me, Julia, look, the team don't want to do that anymore. They reckon they've nailed it. So can we move on to some other things? And, again, where's the magic? Bring the magic next time. That'd be great. And so I said, yep, no problem. I said, the team think they've nailed it. No worries. So I turned up at the next session and, again, opportunity to build some resilience for Julia. So I said to them at the start of the session, hey, guys, I had an interaction recently with a competitor of yours. And as a result, I think you guys are uber expensive, and I reckon you need to revisit your pricing strategy. And I like this other company, I think they're doing a lot of stuff and I named the competitor. I think they're doing a bunch of stuff that you guys could learn from. I reckon 6 of them at once talking just jumped down my throat. No, this is why they're crap. This is why we're great. This is why. And so I just sat there in silence. I said, right. So plot twist, I have talked to no competitor. I have no idea what your pricing structure is like, but you guys reckon that you're all ninjas at objection handling. If you were, what you would have done back then is you would have said, it's interesting, Julia, tell me some more about that. But you didn't. All of you went to annihilate me. So I'm sorry to break it to you, you're not ninjas at this stuff. And, with another client, I used the analogy and I asked them, I said, is anyone in this group a former or a current elite level athlete? And there was a former professional soccer player in the room. And I said, great. I said, how old are you now? This person was 45. I said, how old were you when you started? 6. I said, right, tell me about some of the fundamental skills in soccer. And he says, kicking and passing the ball. Right. I said, great. So when you're 6, how often do you do that? He said, every training session. I said, when you're 45 and you're playing the game, how much of your training do you spend kicking and passing the ball? He says, a lot. I said, if you couldn't kick or pass the ball, would you have been able to turn pro? He said, no. I said, this is the same. In fact, it's going to be more serious because you're all getting paid. All of you. You're all getting paid to play the game of the business that you're in. And you haven't got the skills. So you've demonstrated you can't kick and pass the ball properly. And this is a rare conversation I have, but it's necessary. And again, it just shows how misunderstood this stuff is.
Hey, Julia, I kind of want to jump into the way a lot of negotiations are occurring today. It's obviously way different than how negotiations happened before, because before, saying years ago, when we didn't have email or phones right at our fingertips, everything was done face-to-face. So as these modalities are changing, what are some key considerations for negotiators who are trying to get something done through email, text, or video, or anything like that?
Yeah, don't use email. Do not email. Where you can, we're trying to get face-to-face, right? And because of geography and the world situation, we can't there's not a lot of opportunity for that. So the next best thing is doing exactly what we're doing now. You got to eyeball someone. But the baseline here is pick up the goddamn phone, people. Pick up the phone. So I do this lots of different ways. And I would suggest I reckon I've only met face-to-face 30% of my clients. The rest are exactly like we are now. And, one of my clients in particular, they've been with me for a couple of years now. In the second year, their level of investment with me went up 3 times the amount of the previous year. They're still here. We've never met face to face.
Is it harder work to do it this way than if we were sitting in a room together negotiating, whether it's building rapport or dealing with emotions or any of that work that we would do with a client or in any sort of negotiation? Is
Yeah.
it more work or does it change or not?
Well, see, I think again it depends on your level of skill. People say, "Oh, I can't do video calls." Really? How hard have you tried? And there's a fear behind there, so they rely on email. There's something I talk about in all the programs that I teach, and it's the trust equation. Are you guys familiar with David Maister's work?
No.
So there's a trust equation by a gentleman called David Maister, and the fundamental principle to a lot of the work that I do with my clients is based on this principle. So I'm not doing, same as you, life and death negotiations. I'm doing business stuff, where for the most part we have someone who is to some degree willing to talk to us. So we know that we are much more likely to reach agreement with someone that we like. We also know we will go out of our way to disagree with someone that we don't like, even if in principle we agree. So what we're trying to do is we are trying to supercharge the trust, which can be done over a Zoom or a Teams call. It's almost impossible to do over email. And the trust equation is basically the mathematical or the how you measure trust. And it's credibility plus reliability plus intimacy divided by self-orientation. So credibility plus reliability plus intimacy divided by self-orientation. Credibility is, do you have the skills, the qualifications, and the runs on the board and the experience? Mm-hmm. Reliability is, what's your reputation like, and do you do as you say you'll do? Intimacy, this is the one that makes people sometimes giggle a bit. Oh, what does this mean? Mm-hmm. This is simply, do we connect? Do we have the same dogs? Do we live in the same area? Do we have the same enemies? Do we love the same type of Netflix shows on Mexican drug cartels, which is what I love? Don't judge people. Like, there are some good.
Watch them all.
Yeah, so good, right? So good. So, like, do we have something in common? We're going for likability,
right?
And then the negative in that equation is self-orientation. I could be the most credible person with the best reputation. You kind of like me, but if you just think I'm trying to serve me, then trust is off the table. If you feel like I'm genuinely trying to serve the cause here or help you solve the problem, trust is all up for grabs. But back to the top line, credibility plus reliability plus intimacy, those three things are not weighted equally.
Okay.
We would sacrifice credibility and reliability for intimacy any day. This is how startups get a go. They got no runs on the board. They got no past experience, but someone goes, you know what, Aaron, I kind of like you. Here's $5 million, right? So connection is what we're going for when we're trying to negotiate over video conference. Really, really hard to build connection over email. Really hard. Nothing's impossible, but why make it hard for yourself? The other thing I talk about as well is if there was a race and the prize was a pot of gold, would you rather enter a race with 5 competitors or 500 competitors?
5 competitors.
Okay. So if you are emailing someone and expecting to win the pot of gold, you are in the race of 500 competitors. Because I don't know how many emails you guys get per day.
Right.
Any email that comes into my inbox that's asking me for money or business, man, that's not a priority for me. So this is, again, a terrible strategy. It's not that hard to stand out. So first, pick up the phone, people, say the things, use the words, find stuff in common, and get people into a call like this when you can eyeball.
Julia, so much in negotiation. We talked about some misnomers or thoughts about it. So much about negotiation seems to be focused outwardly from our organization, right? Getting this supplier to align or this customer to align or whatever. Negotiation as just a good or critical leadership skill. How do you encourage leaders to look inward to managing their teams, aligning internal stakeholders, just dealing with the day-to-day leadership challenges that come up? How do you get them to think about negotiation as this skill that I can use within my organization?
Well, simply, if the leader wants to persuade or influence, they need negotiation skills. No different to anyone who is actually like you or me in negotiating all the time. So these skills help them persuade and influence. It helps them have performance discussions. It helps them to recruit the right people, to terminate the right people, to increase productivity, to get accountability. And telling someone, much the same as, going back to that example with Nolan of the, where's your oil and gas experience, Julia? If I jump down his throat and say, well, I don't need it, here's why, I'm going to get him offside. Because I'm a hop, skip, and a jump away from conflict. Because effectively I've said to him, what I'm saying is, you are wrong. You don't understand me. You are wrong. No one must be told they're wrong. So when we're debating with someone, and this is why I talked before about we need genuine curiosity. So if you're a leader and you want to have a performance discussion with someone, or you want to get an increased budget for something, you're going to come from a place of genuine curiosity, trying to serve the other person, which is back to that trust equation, self-orientation, not coming with your hand out for an increased budget. So there is so much negotiation required in leadership.
Do clients naturally see that, or do you have to encourage them to see that?
No one sees it. It's again, people think it's this magic thing where, I'm only negotiating if I'm haggling on price for a flat screen TV. It's just, but again, the three of us, we are like masters of the craft here. We see it everywhere. And I genuinely see it everywhere. I see negotiation all the time. I think in open questions, what's the question I can ask? What's the question I can ask? It's the genuine curiosity. And if when I led big teams, I wished I had that skill back then. I didn't understand it. I was at a different place of learning back then.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't appreciate it either.
That segues awesome to this next question. If you don't mind sharing, what is one of the biggest negotiations failures that you've had, and kind of what lessons did you learn from it? So it may have happened during that time before you were well-versed in negotiations.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this question, Nolan, is that the story that I'll share with you, you could easily go, that has nothing to do with negotiating. So one of the companies I worked with, so I started to get promoted pretty early in my career into management roles. But interestingly, um, my team at a couple of different points didn't like me. Um, I was very task oriented and not at all. I was zero people orientation. And when I say zero, I probably mean -0. I was heavily focused on task. I had the mindset of, well, they've hired me to do a job, so I'll just do the job or do the things. I didn't give anything of myself personally. I shared nothing of myself. And my team didn't like me. Not surprisingly, right? Like I wasn't connecting with them. I had nothing in common. I made no effort to find things in common. So anyway, I started to work with a coach who helped me see the light. And after a certain amount of sessions with this coach, thought, well, I feel like I'm hearing it for the first time of why this is important, and now I can start to persuade and influence better. So I held a meeting with my team, and I still remember exactly where I was. It was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. There was 5 of them there, a small team, and I said, and I knew that they didn't like me. And so I said to them, I'm here today because I want to talk to you about something that I'm going to try differently. And as I'm thinking, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. Also a terrible strategy, because what happens when you tell yourself that 10 times? Yeah, tears are coming out like I'm crying, right? But I wasn't crying because I was sad. I was crying because I genuinely cared. And I was being vulnerable and I felt exposed. And I said, I'm going to try harder. I know you don't like me. And to some degree, I don't like me either. I started to work with a coach. I'm starting to understand the importance of sharing things of myself. I never thought that was important, but I feel like I'm starting to see the light. I'm going to start to try some stuff with you guys, but I'm going to need your help. I'm not going to always get it right. I'm going to tank on some stuff. Please tell me that I tank. Tell me when I'm tanking, but can you also, if I try something on and you go, that was weird, but it kind of worked, tell me it was weird, but kind of worked. Like just talk to me, but I'm going to try and make a real difference here to do better. And so anyway, I finished the conversation and I went out to my car, and one of my team, the toughest one in my team actually, she chased me out the door. And she called out to me. I turned around and she ran in and hugged me. And she said to me, that is all you needed to do. Now, back then, that was not a lesson at all in negotiating. That was just leadership, maybe 101 or maybe, I don't know, 201. But that wasn't negotiating. But now I look back and go, well, it's just persuading and influencing, right? I was doing a terrible job. So giving of myself, being vulnerable, it's necessary, because this is that ego thing I talked about, when we started talking. And so ego kills negotiations. Ego kills your ability to persuade and influence.
I love the authenticity that you demonstrate. You used the word vulnerability, which was what I was thinking too, as you were sharing your story. I mean, authenticity just seems to be a critical skill for a negotiator, and maybe that's what gets in our way sometimes is that we think we have to be something else versus just being us.
Oh, Aram, I was caught up for so long in who do these people want me to be? They obviously don't want me to be me. I need to try and be someone else. It was so hard. It was exhausting working in some senior roles, because as you know, when you work for another corporation, welcome or not, you get feedback.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of my time confused.
As a ninja negotiator, I mean, as someone who is referred to as the negotiator, I'm going to guess you always get this right in your personal and home life too. I mean, you illustrated a beautiful example of coaching your son through a conversation. So you probably get this right all the time in your personal life too. Is that true?
Yes, I am completely flawless at all times, Aaron, and I'm very happy for your listeners to think that way. So yes, you would be correct. No, as I said, like the most common language in my house with my kids is whinging and complaining. I'm shouty all the time because sometimes I couldn't be bothered. So, Fraser and Matisse, my children, tell me some more. Like, sometimes I just want to shout at them, put your shoes on, we're going to be goddamn late. Because I know if I would use some negotiation skills, we'd get there a lot better. But you know what? Feels good to shout sometimes. And I don't
Right.
like, man, you got 6 kids. You'd be the most shouty of everyone, right?
That's right.
So yes, but
Right.
I do. But interestingly, something that has helped me lately, and I've had some really big parenting lows. So at one point, my husband was working away 26 weeks a year. I had 2 kids under 3. We've got no family here. I could barely put a meal on the table without someone screaming or me screaming. It just, life was tough. And so massive parenting lows. But interestingly, even now, when and my kids, if they're literally, if their eyes are open, they're fighting. But when I'm out with them in public and this is happening, as ridiculous as it sounds, and I shared this with someone only just the other day, but I have said to myself, Julia, pretend your clients are watching and give a masterclass. And that really helps me. Because what I really want to do is shout at my kids to goddamn get in the car. So, or stop doing the things, right? Yeah, I do want to suggest also, obviously, I love my kids an awful lot.
We know.
It's hard though but this is why, with this client telling me your stuff takes a long time, Julia. Yep. This takes time and effort and dedication. Like if you want to be great, if you want to win Wimbledon, you can't just smack a ball around a couple of times a week. You got to play every day and get up at 4:00 and eat well and go to the gym all the time. And you have to serve 100,000 times, sometimes without even a racket or ball in your hand. You just have to practice the movement. You don't get to touch the racket. Training is boring. And this is why only some people make it to the top at the elite level of any activity in the world, sporting or professional or otherwise. It takes proper dedication to get this stuff right. And that's why I say I reckon I'm a 7 out of 10. I spend probably I've cut back, but I probably reckon I was doing probably 4 to 6 hours a week. I'm probably only doing about probably 3 to 4 hours a week at the moment, where I practice these skills every week, properly in training with professionals teaching me every week. Because I go, the better I am. Also, it feeds my thirst for knowledge, so it's satisfying for me. But I'm in some groups, and I'm humbled by how little I know about this stuff.
That puts me in a 2.5 or 3.
I'm not even on the board, so this is great.
Not even. Not even.
No, I think that this has been an awesome podcast. As we start to wrap up here, is there anything that Aaron and I did not ask you that you'd like to basically just give to our listeners of what they can do to be more successful?
I genuinely believe you can negotiate, you can persuade and influence anybody with these skills. So use them for good, not for evil. These are life skills. These are not skills that we use and we're haggling for price on something. These are every day in every way. I hope some of the listeners want to dedicate to the cause, practice the things, do all the things. But yeah, I think you guys have a cracking podcast. I love the guests that you've had on here. I love the work that you do. This is necessary work. This shapes the future. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Julia, for joining us today. And before I turn it over to Aaron, this is a podcast that is all about elevating your influence through purposeful negotiations. So with that, Aaron, are there any key takeaways for our listeners today?
Yeah, and I'll start by just saying thank you, Julia. Brilliant as we as we expected you would be, and so insightful. So thanks for making us now a kind of a global podcast by getting us down under. Really appreciate that. I'll just say, Julia said it numerous times. It's not magic. These are learned skills, and it takes discipline, dedication, and some time, and a real commitment, a willingness to develop these things. And so, just encourage everyone to, as you listen to this, take yourselves on. That self-orientation part of the trust matrix. Take yourself on and look at ways that you can get better in influence and persuasion opportunities that are going to show up every day. And as Julia said, thousands of times each day.
Today's podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you could please rate, review, and subscribe to the NEGOTIATEx podcast, we'd greatly appreciate it. It's going to help get this podcast in front of other leaders and help them be more effective negotiators. So that's it from us. Appreciate it. We'll see you in the next episode. Hey, thanks for checking out this video on NEGOTIATEx TV. If you found any value at all, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification icon if you want to be notified of future videos. And then we also have a couple videos over here that you might be interested in checking out. If you in your small business, your team are looking to get negotiations or leadership training, then you can head over to negotiatex.com and learn more about the coaching services we offer. Thanks, and I'll see you over in the next video.